Udah on kameranya. Oke, sebelum kalian nonton video ini teman-teman, jangan lupa like, comment, and subscribe video ini biar video ini terus berkarya, terus ngeluarin karya yang bagus. Jangan lupa ya, apa? Like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy videonya. Hai guys, selamat pagi semuanya. Hari ini aku mau bikin a day in my life as a student. Kalian penasaran gimana? Ikutin terus video ini, tapi jangan lupa like, comment, and subscribe. Jangan lupa ya teman-teman. Penasaran gimana? Langsung aja, let's check it out.
Arin Aulia.
Present, sir.
Okay, Awish.
Present, sir.
Ina.
Present, sir.
Okay, Echa.
Present, sir.
Felix.
Present, sir.
What's your name? Kadi.
Present, sir.
Grace.
Present, sir.
Kama.
Present, sir.
Kuo.
Present,
Raven.
sir.
Ya. Okay, Ella.
Present, sir.
Chua. Dania Agustin. Agustin. Shirley.
Present, sir.
Pani.
Present, sir.
Okay. Tami.
Present, sir.
Okay. Pedro.
Present, sir.
Nancy.
Present, sir.
Okay. Yemi.
Present, sir.
Aldi.
Present, sir.
Sambil makan. Makan nih guys. Gak apa-apa lah ya. Enak kok.
This is the example. The share option usually give to the employee. When we record the option, commission expense, the share value share option ya.
Sama telur.
If the option is not exercised ya, so we must write off the option share value share option in the debit.
Ada cabai guys, nggak berani makan.
Restricted shares. Okay, the next is share compensation plan is similar with the share compensation plan with the share option. Okay, the next is ABS ya. This is the ABS. Yeah, we repeat again. The ABS is earning per share. It is determined from the total net income, yeah, minus percent dividend, if any. You divide it how many outstanding the ordinary share. The basic. This have a structure, simple structure, and the complex. The complex sometimes we call it dilutive, yeah. It means the ability to. The complex mean there is potential dilutive, yeah. Could be have dilutive effect on the earning from the securities and have securities like the warrant option and the convertible bonds and the preferred share. So it can make the potential. This is only the formula per share, the income, the minus preferred dividend with the average share of the share. One. And how do we find the average ordinary share in? So we weight the share by the fraction of the period they are outstanding. Yeah. cell dividend or cell split occur,
Aku sambil dengerin
company
ya
need
guys.
to restart the cell ending before the cell dividend or split. If we have the cell dividend or cell split, so we must restart Ini example.
Aku sambil dengerin.
So this example this is example how to we determine the weighted average. It's the first July, so April in the July is the same month. So 120 you multiply the fraction of the year 3.5 . Okay. And fraction of the year, and you get 103. How about we have the cell dividend? We have if you have the cell dividend, so you must you edit one column here, the statement. The statement before the cell dividend is
Ada timun.
occur. The cell dividend is the first June, so before the first June you must make the restatement 1.5. 1.5 is mean 100% plus 50% of the cell dividend. The fraction of the year is same, and you must see total fraction of the year is must 12 months. 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 2 become 12 months. The stock split also same. If you have stock split, you must make the restatement. So the restatement is multiply 3 because 3 become 1 3 for 1. The restatement for before 1st July The restatement before 1st July. In 180,000 and 150 you must restatement This is the APS when you have the income from the continuing and the discontinued, so you must make the APS APS from the continue and discontinue. So the disclosure will be like this. Income from continuing, again, the income, 30% from the continuing and again from discontinued. Okay, the last this topic is about the dilutive earning per share. The dilutive is mean the complex capital structure. The complex is mean when you have the convertible securities, option, warrant, and other rights and the derivative. Also we call it complex because this convertible and the derivative can be dilute our APS. Forget this is complex capital structure, so we must calculate the basic APS and the diluted APS. This is the formula. APS is the basic, and is the of the convertible and the impact of the option, warrant, and other diluted securities. For the anti-dilutive is in the increase we not reported we not reported the anti-dilutive. For the convertible security, we assume this we use the converted method, so we assume the conversion in the beginning period for the bonds and the beginning period, and the elimination of the related interest and of the tax. This example. The BTFAS 210 with the average 100,000, so our basic is 2.1. This is the dilutive, the basic APS. This is the 6% debenture, for the first bond. The interest is 62,000 so we must put on the interest expense because when we convert the bonds, we can saving the interest. We put on the interest 62,000, but this interest expense must be net from the tax. So you must exclude the interest The interest is 40%, so you only times 60%
habis
80,000
kasih
of the
enggak
interest. Okay. In total of the interest, the tax 40%, so you multiply 60%. And don't forget, this 7% bonds is issued in the current year, in the April. Yeah. So you must prorate the current month is 9 months from the April, 1st April until the December. Okay, and from 12, and you outstanding share will be increased to 24,000. So the effect on the EPS become 1.5. This is the dilutive. Yeah. So generally, this formula you can find the diluted EPS 1.97. Yeah, 2.1 become 9.97. Okay. The next is the preference share. Okay, yeah.
habis.
Net income minus preference share dividend 6%, 1.8. The way that we get the EPS. Yes. Okay,
The
this is
slide is better more.
My name is Ilham Tragamarisi. My name is Alif Muhammad Emma Bintang.
My name is Nabila Cinta Pratiwi. And today we will explain about responsibility centers. Responsibility centers in an organization unit that is headed by a manager who is responsible for its activities. As we know, responsibility in bahasa it's mean tanggung jawab, and centers is pusat. Jadi responsible to ensure the effectiveness of the management control system in decentralized organization. This tend to be forgotten by many managers who want to start directly with budgeting and design of performance measurement system and incentive. However, effective budgeting and measurement of performance requires assignment and acceptance of responsibility. Thus, the creation of responsibility centers, organizational units headed by manager responsible for the unit's performance, constitute the important skeleton of the management control system, and this assignment of responsibility to the unit should reflect organization strategy. There are 4 standard types of responsibility center: revenue centers, expense centers, profit center, and investment center. There are different forms of decentralization, that is different degrees of financial decision making authority that the top managers have delegated to the unit managers. The nature of responsibility centers in general and the basic criteria for choosing which type of responsibility center to use for a particular organizational unit. We will discuss the first 2 of standard types of responsibility center. The first is revenue center and expense center. Expense centers can be divided into 2 categories: engineered expense and discretionary expense. The other 2 types of responsibility center is profit center and investment center will be discussed in the next chapter. In revenue center, output is measured in monetary terms. In expense centers, input is measured in monetary terms. In profit center, both revenue output and expense input are measured, and in investment center, the relationship between profit and investment is measured. Each and every responsibility centers require the different type of planning and control system. The type of responsibility center will be explained by Nabila. Okay, next is revenue center. Revenue center is divided by 4. The first is in revenue center is output is measured in monetary terms, but no formal attempt is made to relate input to output. The second is general. Revenue center is our marketing or sales unit that don't have authority to set selling price and don't charge for the cost of the goods they sell. The third is actual sales. Actual sales or order bookkeeping or order book are measured against the budget and quote, and the manager is held to responsible for the expense incurred directly within the unit. The last is the primary measure is revenue. This is center. Next slide. Next slide is expense center. Expense centers is a responsibility center who does input are measured in monetary terms, but who outputs is are not. And then is there are two general types of expense. There is engineer and discretionary. Then for the engineering is costs are those for which the right and proper amount can be estimated with reasonable reliability until direct cost. And for the discretionary is costs are those for which no engineer estimate is feasible until support activities. Next slide. Next is engineering cost. Here is the input can be measured in monetary terms because the engineer cost center is basically found in manufacturing in operation. In engineer cost, output multiplied by the standard cost of each unit give the finished product cost, means the output can be measured in the physical terms. The optimum amount of input required to produce 1 unit of output can also be measured in this center. And then also the engineer cost center not only measure the cost, but it is also responsible for the quality of the product, volume of the production, as well as efficiency. Next slide. And the last is discretionary expense center. For this center, include administrative and support unit, accounting, legal, human resource, research and development, and most marketing activities. For this center, show the top management policy and decision for different departments to improve overall efficiency and profitability of the organization and appropriate amount to be spent on financial planning, R&D, public relation. In this discretionary cost, the budget are given to improve the work of different departments, but there are no variance analysis for this budget, only control system and are implemented. Next.
And I will explain this slide. This is the MTS for the discretionary cost center. The first we have a budget preparation. It include about the management formulates the budget by determining the magnitude of the job that needs to be done and not the volumes of the output. And the second is the work done here falls into the general categories. It's a continuing and special. And the third is we have continuing work. Work is done consistently from year to year, such as preparation of financial statement. And the fourth, we have while special work is one shoot project, developing and installing a system in new acquired division. And the next is the technique used in this budgeting is management by the objective and formal process in the department. ask for the budget on the basis to accomplish the specific jobs and activities. Next, and the next slide, we continue again. The six it's the planning function of this center is carried out in one of two ways. It's incremental budgeting and zero based. And next is in the incremental budgeting. This is the discretionary expense centers. Current level of expenditure is taken a starting point. This amount is adjusted for inflation and change in the workload of job. And next, incremental budgeting has two drawbacks. First, discretionary expense centers current expense are taken as it is and not re-examined during the budget preparation process. And next is from the current level, the managers always want to increase the service, so they will demand extra budget every time. For the next is zero-based review. An alternative budget approach is to make a true analysis of each discretionary expense center on a rolling basis, so that all review once and then the budgets are finalized. And the next slide, you continue again. It's in contrast with incremental budgeting, this review starts from scratch, so the resources actually required are only given to the activity. And the second is cost variability. It's unlike the engineer costs, which are strongly affected by short-run volume changes. Because in discretionary centers, it reacts to short-term fluctuations in jobs and other activities. And next is type of financial control. This is the in case of engineer cost center, the objective is to become cost competitive by setting a standard and the desired output in terms of planning. And the next slide will be explained about Tugama.
Administrative and support center. Administrative center include senior management and business unit management, along with the manager or supporting staff unit. Support center unit that support center unit that provide service to other responsibility service. Counter problem difficult in measuring output, lack of goal congruence, budget preparation. Next, research and development center. Counter problem, one, difficult in relating result to input. Two, lack of goal congruence. The R&D range the activity conducted by R&D as long range, as it start from basic research one extreme and product testing at the other ends. The R&D program, there is no scientific way to determine the optimum size of an R&D budget. Program list budget plus the blanket allowance for unplanned work, measurement of performance. Next, marketing center. Generally, in all the companies, two different types of activity are grouped under the heading of marketing. That is logistic activity and marketing activity. Logistic activity are those involved in moving goods from the company to its consumer and collecting the amount due from the customer in return. Marketing activity are those undertaken to obtain order for company product. This activity include testing market, training, supervision of sales force, advertising, and
motivating employees to provide better services to customers. So increasing the customers' satisfaction. And loyal customers in turn create revenue for the company, thereby increasing shareholder value. And the second, on the other hand, I think the Southwest has the lowest operational cost due to virus initiative taken to cut cost. This helped it to offer lowest fares. Southwest flies point-to-point, unlike other airlines, which use hub scope model. It uses a short and medium-haul approach. And about the second question is how do Southwest control system help?
Roof, we don't have a just only. This is like we will build a house, but not a definition. Just only starting point of units. But when they are interaction, the flow, and when it is run by the manager and it's function well, then it becomes a real sub unit. Okay, so here, then we have responsibility center. So if because sometimes you need also help us at the event and Finite British Petroleum. Because of this event, tragic, then they want to find a ranging program to what is the strategy to be safe here and having control to the risk. What do? They try to find divisions. What are they? Exploration, development, and production. Under production, they have operation and subsurface. So these are them division they have. Division can be units. And then they are assigned by the CEO. They are controlled by this one, and they will assign manager for which department, production, the development, and the exploration. And these are then the responsibility that they have by managers. You see, they are headed by managers for this responsibility. What are these responsibility? These divisions. It's more more understandable for this PPT. Yeah. And then we come to the introduction. So it is then, as I said, use the spirit of decentralization. Spirit of decentralization is then the criteria of these responsibility centers. And what are they? Here explained. It is then from the decentralization continuously to the previous chapter. And then we have smaller units. Smaller units is then the spirit of decentralization. So we divide the organization into smaller units. And in these units, they are assigned as managers. They are skeleton. Then we assign of responsibility. What is your responsibility to run these units? They give them for the effectiveness of the management control system. This also is one of the reason why we create these units is then to make the management control system more effective. That's also an element that you can find. Then we need to assign the responsibility program for performance, also performance measurements. And what are they? Revenue, as I said, expense. Expenses, we can call it cost. So we can say revenue center, expense center, or cost center is same. Profit center, we don't call it income center. We just only call it profit center and investment center. So only expense can be called as cost center. We even not call sales center. We call it revenue center. Okay, so this then what you have for this chapter 6, then we deal with the revenue and expense. So what are they in revenue? We deal more on the sales. Sales either on the products, sales of products. So there are 3 types of business that you can, I remind you. One is a service company. So the sales service, what are where the inputs? Because in any manufacturing company, there are inputs, process and outputs. But the input they use is then the resources. They are not human, no. The human are not input of services industry. They just only use, for instance, like in beauty center, they use the they use the razor, the electrical razors, they use the comb, they use the mirror, they use the mirror, they use the table, and these are resources they use, but they don't use any production like transforming to be transformed. And then that's a sales, that is service revenue. This is revenue, sales of services, sales of products. If you are The second tab is merchandising company. There is no transformation, but you have inputs like all the merchandise that you need to sell. Merchandise of the product you want to sell, finished product, and then you sell to the markets. Then your revenue is sales revenue. And if you are manufacturing, of course, product, you produce a good, and then you sell this goods or product, then you are sales revenue. So these are the terms. And the expense, then the cost related to the production or to the function of these activities. Okay, so here then, responsibility centers is then, as I said to you, there is a manager assigned to a special unit, and he will have responsibility to run the activities related to these units. For instance, whatever units, like the case of British Petroleum, BP, then is there three divisions. One is the production divisions, the engineer and the exploration. So if you are in production, then there is a sub-unit again, operation and subsurface. So for that, there is a manager. There is a CEO at the beginning, badly, and then to control of his three main divisions, but in division there is manager associated and assigned, appointed to run these activities. This then a case frame. Then, for example, this is a case. This is the head office. For instance, in British, this is British Petroleum. It's the CEO. But and then this is a division. There are three divisions. Division for exploration, division for engineering, and division for the other okay, so this is another division. For instance, still have a division here. It's not on the sub-units, but sub-units can also order other assets, but they need to refer to the head office. That's why investment center, because investment center, remember, is long-term horizon, and sometimes it's normally for the fixed assets. So we need some authority for the main or main center. Main division is the main division. Okay, so this is a profit center, because why is profit center underneath here? Because in the division, they did not actually deal about the...
For the preferred share, the concept is same. The basic EPS, the net income minus the preferred share dividend. You divide it, the weighted average share. Yeah? In this example, 240,000 in net income, you minus preferred share dividend 60,000. You divide it 100,000, you get 1.8. Yeah. And this is the diluted EPS. The basic 1.8, and the effect of the EPS when for the preferred share is different with the bonds. The bonds, when you convert it, you saving the interest. Okay. For the preferred share, minus the preferred share dividend, and you divided the average. This is the complex, have the basic and the diluted EPS. Okay, I think we have finished our review from the chapter 13 about the non-current asset and the provision. Chapter current asset and provision, chapter 13 current asset, and 14 is about non-current asset, 15 equity, 16 the EPS and the derivative. Until topics, do you have any question? From the 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock until the 10 o'clock. You can take home. And 2 weeks later, we have the mid test. Yeah. So you have the mid test. I give you the option here for the mid test. Do you want the open book or the closed book? If you have the choice the open book, so your time is limited here. Yeah, limited time is about 1 hour. 1 hour if you open book. If you close book, you have additional time. It's about 1 hour 30 minutes. So I depend on you for you. I give you the choice. The mid test is the open book or the closed book. Jadi silakan pilih ya, mau di
Nggak harus apa-apa katanya.
mau GM. Jam 8 sampai jam 10 ya di submit. Oke, ada pertanyaan? Kita bisa finish ya. Ya, finish. Don't forget our quiz and our text is covered from the chapter 13 until 16 ya. 16. And for your choosing open or the closed exercise in your book, because this is intermediate, we need exercise ya. Because intermediate need make how we determine the amount, and how to make the journal entry. Okay ya.
Okay, sir.
And if you have any question, you can ask me after this session is finished. You can ask me through email or WhatsApp me. Ya. Bisa tanya saya ya. Setelah ini juga nggak apa-apa.
Baik, sir.
See you next. Yeah, don't forget ya. We have quiz next week. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Kok nggak bisa ya? udah selesai ya videonya. Oke teman-teman, terima kasih udah mau nonton video ini. Dan jangan lupa like, comment, and subscribe.